Here we are, Valentine's Day weekend. A day and a weekend where some people enjoy and some people just want to avoid it. It's all about that word, that L word, love. Love plays an essential role in all the world's religions, and it's also mentioned in the titles of pornographic sites on the internet. It can refer to the unconditional love of parents for their children or to someone's love of peach ice cream. We talk about falling in love and falling out of love as if it were a bed. Being in love can cause tremendous happiness and incredible pain. People can be blinded by love, or they can possess vast vision because of love. People can be ruthless because they're in love with power, and people can perform extraordinary acts of kindness out of love. Love is a big word that can be used to refer to many different experiences. But what is love, actually? Which is the title of this sermon, Love Actually. The true nature of love is beyond our ideas about it, is beyond the ability of the human mind to conceive. Love cannot be grasped or possessed. Love is not a thing that can be measured. How big? Right? When we're with the children, how much do you love me? There was a big competition of that in my home with my parents. Love is like an ember in the heart of all human beings that although it can be covered over, it cannot be extinguished. Certainly there is no word in the English language that is more familiar than love, and yet in spite of our familiarity with the word, it is one of the most misunderstood and ambiguous words. A great deal of confusion results in the fact that many people feel that love can only be defined in one category, in one pattern, or in one type. In order to understand love and its meaning and quality, it helps to understand the many forms that love takes. So let's begin by exploring what the Greek philosophers had to share in defining the different experiences of love. And I get a sense that Marisha knows a lot about this. Why? I don't know. I saw that smile on your face. I'd be remiss if I did not reference Plato and his Symposium, which is one of the foundational documents in Western culture and arguably the most profound analysis and celebration of love in the history of philosophy. But of course, many Greek philosophers also explored the topic and passion of love with depth. But Plato broke down love into many subgroups, and today I'm going to focus on three, not to make it too lengthy. And these three are our main ones that many psychologists and modern day philosophers focus on. The first one, I'm sure you've all been familiar with this somewhere in your life, is eros. It's the first kind of love on the list that we will speak about today, and it's named after the Greek god of fertility, and it represents the idea of sexual passion and desire. Eros is raw attraction, but the Greeks didn't always think of it as something positive, as we tend to these days. In fact, Eros was viewed as dangerous, as a dangerous, fiery, and irrational form of love that takes hold of you and possesses you. Eros involved a loss of control that frightened Greeks and many other cultures for that matter. Looking at it through today's lens, that might be odd, since losing control is precisely what many people want when they're seeking a relationship, right? That falling madly in love. Don't we all hope to fall madly in love, right? This form of madness that the Greeks looked at, they thought was brought about by Cupid's arrows, that the arrow reaches you and then you literally fall. And it's for that reason, for the last several hundred years, until the last several hundred years, parents picked their children's partners for them because they couldn't make a rational decision because they've been struck by this arrow of eros, and they couldn't make a wise decision. So parents took it upon themselves to make that choice. Eros is centered on that physical aspect of love, and it's a flame that burns hot and bright, but that flame needs to be fanned by other aspects of love, or else it will burn out. So the other form of love I want to speak about today is philia. Philia is an affectionate love. It's the hallmark of friendship or shared goodwill. Philia is the kind of love that strong friends feel towards each other. And perhaps that is why many people feel closer to friends than the family that they inherit. There's a common saying that friends are the family that we choose, and philia is that experience of deep trust and compassion. And the Greeks found friendship as the happiest and most fully human of all loves. And for Plato, he felt that the friendship that is born out of eros, a love affair that becomes friendship, is the best kind of evolution of philia. And the third kind of love is agape love. It's the most radical, unconditional love. It's the kind of love that looks past all physical barriers and has nothing to do with pink hearts and the chocolate on your chairs, but in maybe some way it is. But the giving of the chocolate on your chairs, not the chocolate per se. It has nothing to do with our sex-obsessed society. Agape is universal love, such as loving strangers, nature, or God. Agape can be said to be the characteristics of a martyr, somebody who's willing to give up oneself for the sake of others. My friend Jeannie is a crossing guard. She was on her way home from work yesterday. She noticed that a car on the street right in front of her, as it pulled over, went on fire. She saw flames coming out from underneath. Instead of running away from the car, she ran right towards it. Agape love. She doesn't know them. Get out. She's grabbing the door to open it, these strangers, to get them out of the car. Agape love, right? Thank God she got them out, but the car did completely engulf in flames. And fortunately, she was afraid it was going to explode. It didn't explode. The fire department finally came. But running right towards it. Agape love is the love that Christians believe Jesus shared. It is something that one would call selfless or spiritual love. It holds no boundaries. It's the purest of love. It's free from desire or expectations of what we're going to get back. It's the agape love that Martin Luther King preached. Agape is what we feel when we forgive. It's the love that accepts. It's the love that believes for greater good. It can be compared to altruism and the principles of moral practice for the concern of happiness of other beings, creatures, or living things. For me, it was helpful to explore the Greeks. What do you think? It's interesting, right? To look at these different aspects of love. It's an invitation to move out of the illusion of love that is presented to us through mass marketing and Hollywood, and invites us to look at the other incredible aspects of it. Those who have had the most courageous and greatest foresight for humanity will always point in one direction, and that is to love. There is nothing more powerful, there is nothing more terrifying to an oppressor than love. Love is the driving factor that will move people to action more than anything else. Whether it's for their partner, their children, their friend, their society, their forest, their planet, humans will go beyond any boundary for what they love. Being part of any group is an opportunity to build the muscle of agape love. Whenever people come together in groups, friction happens. Have you noticed that? It's human nature. But we can use that friction in our lives to remove the rough spots. Our teacher, Diane Burke, the teacher of our seminary, told us within the first few months when we were seminary students, we met each other. Within about 2-3 months, everybody's just like all oozing love for each other. And she said, get ready. She said, get ready, because this is going to be your chance to clean off the rough spots on your heart, because you're going to become each other's sandpaper. Get rid of your rough spots. You will rub up against each other and you're going to notice the friction, but then you'll change from it. There's an invitation in every time we come together in groups, whether it's family, friends, or a congregation, to do this work, to get rid of those rough spots. I'm not suggesting that it's an easy task, but this thing of being each other's sandpaper is actually a blessing. Every family, every parent, I'm sure that your children do a great job of rubbing those rough spots off. I know that I've seen that in my life as well. Marianne Williamson shares the following. She says, love is what we're born with, and fear is what we've learned here. The spiritual journey she says that the spiritual journey is the relinquishment or the unlearning of fear and the acceptance of love back into our hearts. Love is the essential existential fact. It is our ultimate reality and our purpose on earth. To be constantly aware of it, to experience love in ourselves and others, is the meaning of life, she says. The great spiritual masters point us towards love as a form of action, as a verb, not just something we talk about, but something that we actually do. Dr. Martin Luther King shared that mankind must have evolved for all human conflict a method which rejects revenge, aggression, and retaliation. The foundation of such a method is love. Mahatma Gandhi said, of course, be the change you wish to see in the world. And he also said that love is the strongest force the world possesses, yet it is the humblest imaginable. And when we choose to experience life through the lens of love, something shifts in us. We have a different experience, and it affects not just us, but the consciousness of those around us. But how can love be used to impact change in the world? His Holiness the Dalai Lama suggests that we need to become peace or love ourselves to affect peace outside of ourselves, which was part of our practice, that meditation practice today. In our reading by Dr. Viktor Frankl that Michael shared earlier, that he so brilliantly shared that the salvation of man is in love and by love. And over the years, friends, I have created endless, I can't even count the amount of services I've been blessed to lead, whether they were funerals, baby blessings, or weddings. I realized that they were not actually about birth, death, or unions. It was only about the experience of love. That was what was being held in every single ritual. And I've come to recognize that deeming what is sacred may not be about God, religion, or something outside of us. For many of us, what is deemed most sacred is the experience of love. For it is love in all its forms that brings us to our knees that makes us weep, that moves us to awe, that bonds our hearts for eternity. Love is the only thing we can experience and receive before we're born, and it's the only thing we get to take with us when we leave the world. Everything else is left behind. Everything else is not ours to keep. Love is the most mysterious yet essential experience of our lives, the undefinable oxygen of the soul, which nourishes us in many unseen ways. It's the most powerful force in creation, yet expresses itself at times in the smallest, simplest of ways. Love takes us back to love, to the deepest core of our being, where we are one, where we merge, where we unite in our essential wellness. So as I move towards closing, I just want to share with you something. In 2018, I had the privilege of attending the World's Parliament of Religions in Ontario, Canada. And it was a gathering of 10,000 clergy from all over the world, every form of religion, including Unitarian Universalists. 10,000 clergy from all over including indigenous peoples. We had workshops, prayers, masses, sacred services, workshops, overlapping, inclusion. We learned from each other. We fed each other. We learned so much from each other. And when it came to a final closing, all 10,000 of us gathered in this massive hall, and they left us all with just one sentence. They left us with one directive. They said, now go and be love in the world. That was the culmination. So as we end this service today, friends, I invite us all to take this directive into our lives. However we imagine we can. May we all now go and be love in the world. May it be so, and may we be so. Thank you. If you like this video, please like us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and click on the bell to be notified whenever we post a new video. Thank you.